Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we talk about everything while simultaneously talking about nothing. Today we are going to be going over to the 1991 Beauty and the Beast. Now if you haven't seen it, go see it because it's worth watching. Okay, worth watching is gonna be the argument today in all honesty. So we're gonna jump right into it. So our show starts out with this beautiful stained glass window and we learn about this guy. Now, you think he's gonna be important, but he actually really isn't. And although he should be the central part of this whole story, we're gonna focus on this gal instead because she's pretty. So we learn right away that we're going to be following the tale of curses. Woo! And our boy here has until he's 21 to break said curse. Basically, he miffed off a wizard and she beat him over the head with an ugly stick in hopes that he would learn that it's what's on the inside that counts and, you know, you have to be nice to people. But then we immediately cut away from his ugly mug to this gal because she's pretty. And we learn a whole bunch of irrelevant stuff about her and her village, and I got a lot to say. I hope you're ready because we're about to take a walk. Very long one. We find ourselves in a small town in France with absolutely zero gun safety laws. I would just like to point this out. And we meet a handful of peeps that we need to pay attention to. Also, a side note, like, what the F is this? Because I have wondered ever since I was a small wee child, what is this thing? Because it looks like a raccoon wrapped inside of a deer, but like also kind of got something else going on here. I don't know, it's like a really weird turducken with all the forest critters. So is it supposed to be a bunch of different pelts or is it like one thing? Because it kind of makes me think of like those weird hams. So first we meet Belle's dad, Maurice, and he's supposed to be this brilliant inventor who created this wooden death trap. You know, to be completely honest, I feel like Maurice lacks a bit of common sense, but I'll get to that later. Our next character is Gaston. Now, Gaston is supposed to be like this perfect specimen of a man.
How can you read this? There's no pictures.
The complete yang to this guy, who should be a lot more important, but he really isn't. So we're just gonna bloop him right out the window, just like the writers did. And you know, Gaston, he's that guy that just has, his ego shows up to the party about 3 hours before he does. Like, he's that guy, you know. If you don't know one, well, you probably blocked him out for your own mental sanity. Or maybe you are that person. I don't know, hope not. But I mean, seriously, could you imagine having so much confidence? Like, he just watch this.
I'd like to thank you all for coming to my wedding. First, I better go in there and propose to the girl. Say you'll marry me.
Like, could you imagine having that much confidence, like, ever? I mean, seriously, like, if you put any of that on your Tinder dating profile or a Hinge profile or any dating profile, really, I mean, you'll never hear from anybody. At least, that's what I found. Let's just imagine Gaston's dating profile for a minute. I mean, seriously, how many people are swiping right on that? Now, my personal favorite character is Philippe the horse, mainly because Philippe has more common sense than our entire cast of characters, but we'll see that later. And Belle, who has a favorite book because she has read it twice. I'm just gonna go on a quick tangent here. Why is it twice that qualifies it as being your favorite book? Because I had to read Romeo and Juliet twice, and I didn't like it either time, but I digress. So Belle is a bit of an outcast in this movie, and that's mainly due in part to the fact that she is absolutely beautiful in a movie that's trying to drive home the point that it's not about one's looks. We just got the most beautiful girl in town with a flaw. She reads. But she's quirky and relatable. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. So our story picks up some speed with Maurice taking his wooden death trap to the fair. And remember when I said earlier he lacked common sense? Yeah, well, he missed his turn. And for some reason, Maurice never considers turning around and going back and getting on the correct turn, which is something that just bothers me as a hiker. As someone who's done this before, I'm like, why didn't we go back? Whatever, we have to have a movie. The movie must go on, so Maurice misses his turn and gets chased by wolves and ends up breaking and entering into a castle. Now, I'm no breaking and entering expert, but I will be completely honest with you. If I went into somebody else's home and uninvited, just into somebody else's home, and I didn't want to cause problems, like, I would just stay by the door. Like, I would just sleep by the door, stay by the door, would not leave the door. Because if anyone's gonna walk in that section of the castle, they'll see me and they'll be like, what are you doing here? And I'll be like, you know what? I was just sitting by the door trying to figure out if I was allowed to be here, you know, because I was about to get eaten by wolves. Would you like me to leave? Yeah. And also, like, what if the person that showed up, which in Maurice's case, like, wasn't a person, but like the thing that showed up is like super terrifying? I'm out. I'm right by the door. Peace. And we learn rather quickly that this is the castle with the stained glass window. And everything in the castle is animated, or everything just became stuff. I mean, they're not really super clear on that, but like, seriously, are all the plates and silverware people? Formerly people? Or is it like that was the plates and silverware and now they're just alive? Also, like, where did all the stuff go? If they're all people, where's the stuff? Like, why isn't there just stuff laying around? Like, it's like the weirdest, emptiest castle ever. And to be completely honest with you, I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but like, the beast is supposed to be alone and sad. I kind of feel like it would have been more powerful in a way if all the stuff was animated and he was just alone. Because I mean, really, if you think about it, he was turned into a reflection of himself, and everybody else was just turned into stuff. So pretty much the argument here is that they're all defined by their jobs, and what's on the inside of them doesn't matter. It's just they're strictly defined by what they do for employment. There's a lot of holes in this part of it. Like, I feel like this wasn't really fleshed out too well. To be completely honest with you though, like if I was in said castle when this all happened and I was turned into like the representation of my job, well, based on my former job history, I probably would have ended up being like the doormat. That would be me. So back to Beast, Belle. That guy's not important, remember? He don't matter. Anyway, Philippe the horse goes back and gets Belle, and it's all like, your dad was eaten by wolves, I'm sure. And that's how we get our girl Belle into the story. Because remember, she's the focus, because she's party. And this is where Belle gets her big break. She's finally brought to the castle and really enters the storyline as someone important. But again, it should really be about this guy, and it's not. So anyway, so Belle's at the castle, and you know, this is the moment where it should be the most beautiful, selfless act of love and kindness that we witness. Because Belle finds her dad locked up in the dungeon and is like, I'll take his place, I'll live here. But honestly, this moment is truly hysterical to me. And the fact, like, her reaction, like this guy, this gruff voice comes out of the darkness. I just think in Belle's head, from all the books and everything she's read and all these fantasies and castle things, and he's like, you have to stay with me forever. You know, and all her books are like, and the girl got the prince. So like, clearly in her head, she's like, this is gonna pan out for me. And then she's like, step into the light. And he does. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I would have screamed bloody murder if that would have jumped out or slid into my light stream like that. I would have been like, ugh. But no, she like, well, this wasn't what I wanted at all. So Belle's very clearly disappointed in the fact that now she's locked in this like magical castle with, well, she doesn't yet know it's magical. She's with this one guy who's big and hairy and controlling and really thinks a lot about himself and kind of sounds like another character. This character's ugly. And this is the moment where we learn that like Belle has absolutely zero respect for anyone's boundaries. Like, she must have totally been an only child, because he says don't go to the West Wing.
The castle is your home now, so you can go anywhere you like, except the West Wing.
And she's like, well, why not?
It's forbidden.
And she's all like, huh, I'm gonna go there later. Like, if he would have said, like, yo, it's my man cave, like, just stay out, that's my room. You know, it doesn't really seem like she's itching to spend extra time with him. I mean, this entire movie is about setting up two strangers that know nothing about each other. It is a G-rated movie, so I'm gonna stop that thought right there. So later on in the night, Belle gets hungry, and that's when we're introduced to the most popular song, I believe, of the movie.
Ah, those good old days when we were useful.
Oh.
10 years we've been rusting.
10 years. 10 10 years. He's got until he's 21. I'm not the best mather, but that would make him 11. He was 11. He was a spoiled 11-year-old brat. And he got a curse placed on him and everybody in his employment. Why? Why was he 11? Did no one in the room think like, hey guys, this is kind of creepy? No, nobody. They were like, yes, let's make him of age when he has to kiss his first girl. But he's just gonna be cursed. Maybe, I don't know, maybe someone was just having a bad day. Or 11-year-olds acting up and they're like, you know what, you little monster, and boom, story, millions. They're still making money off of it. People are still making content off of it. I mean, you know, whatever. But see, the issue that I have a lot of issues here because I feel like I was deprived of a very, very good and strong storyline. This guy who was a complete butt face and super like self-centered got a curse placed on him 10 years ago. So he's almost 21. Now, you know, ride this train with me for a second. Like, where are his parents? Because he's a prince, so there'd be a king and queen somewhere. This castle, it's only been 10 years. Like, the castle had to, maybe it was a summer getaway or something, but it's gotta be taxing the land or something. There's a reason there's a castle there, and he's getting income. Like, you don't just put a castle somewhere to put a castle somewhere. And everyone in the town acts like they don't know about it. And like it's not being talked about, it's not being rated. I mean, it's 10 years old. I don't know, I said earlier like all the stuff was gone, so maybe it got looted and all the stuff was taken in its earlier years. They don't really tell us, but we know that the villagers know where it is because Gaston leads them straight to the castle. But like nobody talks about the beast in town. Like Maurice runs into town and he's just told he's a crazy lunatic and he's explaining the beast. So very clearly no one in this town is aware of what is going on. I mean, and for real, like if you're gonna drop a tree, like why drop a tree like 4 miles away from where you're gonna need the tree and drag it all the way over there? Like, common sense, people. Honestly, Belle, to me, in this movie is completely irrelevant. They should have just focused on Beast and focused on, you know, his whole issue, because they could have totally talked about the fact that, you know, he was 11 years old and he got a curse put on him. Where are his parents and why aren't they there? Why does he not feel loved? Why was he growing up with the notion that it's what's on the outside, not what's on the inside that counts? And like, if everything in the palace was just stuff that was animated, he wouldn't be loved by anything because the things wouldn't be capable of loving him. And like, he would have some companionship, but it would be hollow companionship because it's just stuff. And, you know, and that would be able to play on the whole fact, like, you know, people buy things to fill a void that they feel like they have. But no, it's just like the curse is he has to find a girl to love him and he has to love her. And if the stuff was formerly people, like any of those items that were once women, he could have like, they could have loved him or he could have fallen in love with them. Like that could have been a story, but no, we get this beautiful girl, like the talk of the town as far as looks go. And, you know, we as an audience are supposed to relate to her because she reads books. And we're just supposed to run with that idea. So we get this new song about the we'll be human again.
I can't wait to be human again.
And, you know, I guess that tried to clarify the fact that, you know, all this stuff is in fact people. But it just complicated it further for me because so we're given this extra scene of them reading together, Romeo and Juliet of all freaking stories. And then we learn that like Beast can't even read.
I can't.
Like, well, he can, but he hasn't read in a long time. So you're telling me in this, like, the past 10 years, with no Netflix, and this giant library, he never once, like, crawled up to the very top corner of shelf where the self-help books and the picking up chicks were and, like, read those? Nothing. He did nothing in 10 years to entertain himself. Like, seriously, at the very end of the movie, when he transforms back into a person, he needs to, like, have a beer gut and a beard and like a white tank top with Cheeto stains all over it because that's what he's been doing for the last 10 years. But no, Disney gives us Gaston, who's supposed to be this beautiful guy, yeah, but he's bad. He's beautiful on the outside, but he's bad on the inside. And then we have Beast, who's ugly, but like he's just a normal guy, not really worth knowing anything about. Pretty sure that's not what they were going for, but that's what they gave us. Thanks. So if we're just gonna sum this movie up for the kiddos, you know, it's what's on the inside that counts. You know, like your guts and stuff.